How are you?
I'm doing fine. What about you?
We're all good, thank you.
Good.
Oh, and Lisa Hawley's joined.
Holly, I guess that's you there in the center of my Brady Bunch screen. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. It's nice to meet you via
You
Zoom.
too?
Welcome to MCSAB.
Well, thank you.
We're an easy group.
I hope so.
We are. We're easy,
They are.
aren't we, Avery?
They are wonderful, wonderful.
Mr. B, Mr. Hinton.
Did we get the new members sworn in? Okay.
We're getting ready to.
Okay, good.
Yep, we're getting ready to. So I think, Avery, I'll let you take the lead on that. If you and Janet, I see Mr. Hinton's here, and I think I see Jennifer here.
I'm here.
Okay.
All right, Janet will read the oath, and if you'll repeat after her,
And which one?
Mr. Hinton.
Mr. Hinton. Are you ready? Okay. I, Don Hinton,
I, Don Hinton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi,
and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi,
and obey the laws thereof,
and obey the laws thereof,
that I am not disqualified from holding the office of board member
that I am not disqualified from holding the office of board member
for the Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board,
for the Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board,
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
upon which I am about to enter, so help me God.
upon which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
That's it.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
You're technically official without a confirmation hearing, but you can actually take action now. You'll be able to vote.
And Lisa, have you sent the oath to him, to Mr. Hinton to sign?
We have not yet, so.
Okay, if we'll email that to him, and Mr. Hinton, if you could just sign that and then send it back to Lisa, she'll get it to me so that Janet can notarize it and turn it into the Secretary of State's office.
Okay, I mean, I can notarize it here if you want me to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'll get your email address then and I'll send it directly to you.
That sounds good.
Right.
Yeah, that works. Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
No, the other one's not able to come.
Oh, okay.
Two, I haven't heard any differently, and Miss Willis is supposed to, we have some more people popping on, so maybe give it another minute, or,
I don't even have my clock in front of me. Is it time to start?
it's 1:02, so we've got.
Okay, let's go ahead and get this the formal part out of the way and get the pledge and the invocation, and maybe we'll have everybody sign in by then. The Mississippi Charter School Authorizer regular monthly board meeting is being held via Zoom video conference in accordance with state law code section 25-41-5. The notice of this meeting was posted prior to the meeting in accordance with the state law. The audio recording of this meeting will be made available online, and minutes of the meeting will be recorded. Let's move to the announcement of the quorum. As I call your name, please state your present and where you are, your location. Mrs. Cook,
Cook, Clinton, Mississippi.
Mr. Hinton. Yeah, he needs to unmute. Mr. Hinton, you can unmute your microphone. There you go.
What am I supposed to say? Just here?
Just your name and where you are.
Here, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Remack, are you on yet? Mrs. Whittier,
Jennifer Whittier, Brookhaven, Mississippi.
Mrs. Willis? Okay, we'll wait on the other, or we will let them sign in when they get here, but we do have a quorum, and now the regular monthly meeting is called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I will lead us in both. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. If you'll please bow your head, I'll lead the invocation. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together again today to do our part to provide the children of Mississippi with the best education we can provide. Thank you also for Mr. Hinton, who has graciously agreed to join us in this important work. Please guide our decisions today, and may you be glorified in everything we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? If so, I will accept a motion to adopt the agenda
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The agenda is adopted. Let's move on to the minutes. I think everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes. We have two sets of minutes today that we'll be approving, one for the January 11th board meeting and one for the governance training, and the board meeting was held after the governance training. So both of them are dated January 11th. If everyone's had a chance to look at them, then I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Jean Cook.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved as written. The chair report, all I don't have anything to report. All I'd like to do is again, welcome Mr. Hinton to the board and tell him, I'm going to tell you how much we appreciate you being willing to do this. This is it's not a high paying job, as everyone here knows. And, but it's really important. And I'm glad you were willing to do it. And I really appreciate it. Also, Avery, we appreciate all the hard work that you've done for us. You were here when I got here, so I'm glad that you're able to do everything you've done for us. And Ms. Robertson, I welcome you to join our efforts going forward. With that said, I'll turn it over to Lisa for the Executive Director report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One point of information here, Ms. Willis is here. She's trying to connect by phone. She's got some spotty internet service. So Jordan, if you can help her, I can go ahead and get started on my report.
Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead, and I'm sending her that information right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. I was hoping we'd be in person, but hopefully by next month, we'll all be good to be together and have our shots and be healthy and be in person. That will be wonderful. I'll start just by updating the board on a few things that have happened and been ongoing since our last time together. And I'll start first with the Call to Quality Schools. Our 2021 cycle started in January, as you know, and we had our interested applicant webinar back in February, on February the 12th. I see Ms. Remack is joining us now. We have 11, as of today, we have 11 applicants set up in Epicenter with a total of 15 interested applicants. That is the largest number of interested applicants since I have been with the authorizer. The first year, seemed like there were around 11 or 12 maybe, and then about 7 last year that ended up with 1 approval. So that's very encouraging. I'm really, really excited about that and looking forward to the letters of intent, which are due on March the 12th. So that's encouraging news. Anybody have any question about that or comment? Okay. Ms. Remack, I know you've joined us, so welcome. We're glad you're here. Okay, the next thing I have on my report is just a reference to the application committee. The application committee actually received the complete summary report of Smilo renewal, and you guys will take action on that during the new business. So that was an ongoing process with external reviewers, and Jordan and myself included at the follow-up part where we did the summary report together. Then with respect to News items, we have started a newsletter in addition to our regular communication to schools, and that newsletter has gone out January, February, and March. If any of you would like to be included on that newsletter correspondence, I'm happy to include you, or Jordan will be happy to include you on that. It's general information for the schools, upcoming information. It might have a survey link on it. It might have information about professional development. It might have information from the Department of Education. It might have some deadlines. It might have just a variety of different information, trying to keep it to one page so that it's not a lot of text or a lot of overwhelming information, and making sure that everything that we do send them is relevant. So we're excited to get that new piece of communication work up and running. Last month, Jordan and I actually attended virtually the Charter School Project Directors Meeting with the U.S. Department of Education. That was a long week and a half of meetings, sessions, seminars in between the regular work, but it was a good time to connect with the other authorizers and learn from them, as well as what USDE expects with respect to our annual performance report, which is coming up in April, and then our monitoring visit, which is also coming up in May, and that'll take place the week of May the 10th. So we will be providing training to our CSP subrecipients on the claims process and that monitoring visit in the coming weeks. Let's see, you also recall that the board approved maybe a couple of months ago some training with Central Access to provide training to the schools on our new requirement for them to include the code of charts for reporting with respect to the accounting manual at MDE and that financial accounting system. Confusion there. I think I had gotten down to the Central Access training that Donna was doing with our schools on the financial accounting manual. And I think that's where I was and left off at that point. And I hate to repeat myself, but I don't know where I actually froze up and what you guys heard and what you didn't. The good news is we've had 2 sessions of great training with Donna Nestor on the transition to the accounting manual. And I think it really helps them ease some of the concerns for the schools on the difficulty of what that was going to be, knowing that they're just going to have to use the chart of accounts and align the chart of accounts, and it won't be such a heavy lift for them. The last work with the performance framework, I know Mr. Hinton and Ms. Cook were both able to get on a stakeholder meeting with Basis Policy Research in the past few weeks, and that work is ongoing. They are doing a beautiful job of really reaching out to our stakeholders, to the accountability committee, and really having an opportunity to engage everybody on the work around the framework and the vision of that. We're nearly complete with the academic section, and have one more stakeholder meeting coming up within the next few weeks on the financial component of that. So that work is, like I said, ongoing and going incredibly well. Jordan was going to, and I'm not sure if she's on yet or not, but she was going to talk to you briefly about some of the other technology challenges that we're having, unrelated to Zoom, unrelated to the internet, but along the challenges of our phone system and our email system. So she's going to kind of walk you through a few of those little challenges so that you're aware of those, and that you'll understand where we are in our transition and migration to a new domain.
Yeah, so can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great. So as the board is aware, our appropriation is through a line item through IHL, and we do not have our own appropriation for our agency. So in the past, we had an MOU with IHL that included our email accounts and our office phone lines. So our current situation began when IHL did not engage in an MOU with MCSAB for FY21 that included maintaining email accounts and office phone lines. So in the middle of a working day, one week, I guess it was last week, our phone lines were disconnected. Without any notice or idea of why this was happening, we reached out to ITS for support and were informed that the lines were disconnected by IHL. So in conversation with their commissioner, Mr. Rankin, we came to learn that this occurred during a routine cleanup of their accounts. There was no malicious intent behind it. It was just an oversight, and they disconnected those accounts or disconnected those phone lines. So with the support from our contact at ITS, phone lines were restored that day. Billing was transferred to MCSAB. To avoid another interruption of that nature, we began conversations with ITS regarding email accounts to see what we needed to do to transition to their system. So with their support, the MCSAB domain has been created to house our new email accounts. This has definitely been an ongoing transition, and it includes the migration of data from old IHL accounts to new MCSAB accounts. So I am providing as much support from our internal office from our standpoint as I can, including spending hours transferring folders over from the old system to the new system, just trying to leverage IHL and their team as much as possible through this project to avoid losing any data, to make sure that we don't spend valuable time working on this project. It has been quite a challenge, but hopefully Dr. K and I will be able to continue communicating with the board as quickly and responsively as we have in the past, and hopefully this situation will be settled very soon.
Thank you, Jordan. That was a very good report, and I'm glad that you were there when everything flew apart.
We're doing our best.
We are. I think Jordan was much kinder than I would have been in my reporting of that. It's been really a significant challenge. And even as of today, with trying to recreate every one of my contacts from my original email into my new email system individually, because there's no way to transfer all of those contacts over. And, that's literally hours of work to get those email addresses put in. So needless to say, board members go in first in my email contact list, then the school leaders, and then those outside of that. So we'll just have to take a slow and steady approach and get it in as quickly and efficiently as we can. So patients appreciated through that migration of that system. Another good reason that we really need to have our own individual appropriation, our own individual bill, and not be slid into somebody else's bill.
Let me ask a dumb question. Do we have, Jordan probably can answer this better than any of the rest of us. Do we have a way that our data is backed up where this sounds like I dropped my cell phone in the lake. And it's just, if you don't have a backup, it's just, that one contact at a time updating is tedious.
No, Mr. Billingsley, we do not. We have such a small agency. Whenever I first got here, we had a company come in and do just an assessment of our overall technology system. I was really concerned that we didn't have a backup. We don't have a server. So our data is all cloud driven. And then Jordan and I have external hard drives that do an automatic backup for our filing system. But as far as management of the email system, all of that was done through IHL. And as Jordan alluded to a few minutes ago, they decided this year, for a variety of reasons, but they decided, they being IHL, that they were not going to support our email system any longer, and that we were going to have to do that through ITS on our own. So it has really caused some significant issues, but we'll get them taken care of, and we'll ensure we have backup either on that external hard drive or in the cloud. We do a lot of Dropbox work and a lot of Google Drive work, so we feel pretty comfortable with that.
Well, thank you. And Jordan, I appreciate you being able to jump on this as fast as you are.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to report?
So I think that ends our report for now. So we can move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, let's move on to the financial report. Let me see.
She's here.
Okay, let's
in here
go ahead with.
with Dr.
report.
Comacheri, so, okay.
Give her a chance to get into place.
Okay, I think that y'all can hear me, and again, we're masked up because Dr. Comacheri and I are next to each other to make this all work. And I assume y'all have a copy of the financial reports in your packet, so I'll just give you the highlights from that. I don't think we need to share the screen. The last report was given in January, in your January meeting, so the current report reflects 2 months of expenditures. And just so you know, to remind you that salaries are actually reflected in both the operational budget and in the federal budget, because up until last month, half of Dr. Brumfield's salary was covered by the CSP grant. So the salaries are split between the two different budgets. There continues to be no expenditures in travel and equipment. Everything else in the last 2 months have pretty much been for routine items. The budget shows new line items under professional services for the contracts that y'all approved at your last couple of meetings. That includes basis policies, 2 contracts, very small contracts for $300 each to review the applications for renewal, thank you, and the central access contract. So that has all been added to your budget, so you can see that. And then also should be noted that the technical assistance is paid half by operational funds and also half by the CSP funds. Since the second allotment, second half of the year has happened, the majority of our expenses are now again coming from your general fund. From the federal financial, I just want to say that a lot of work has been done in the CSP grants in the past several months. We've reviewed every single school's budget and then looked at that and tried to align those budgets or ask the schools to modify their budgets to align with their expenditures. We also did an analysis of the CSP claims reimbursement process. This came about because in January, the board was asked to review the CSP reimbursements, and they were asked to see if it could be scheduled more like the MDE payments in order to assist the schools in planning of their cash flow and when they would get payments. The authorized board did look at that, and we determined that payments from the CSP are unlike the MDE payments. They're not formula driven like the MAP money that comes at a set amount every month, nor are they like the child nutrition grants, because those are based on how many meals and how many students you have. So that's also kind of a formula. The CSP is based strictly on reimbursements of allowable expenses, and determining those allowable expenses, they cross several different budget categories. So the staff here spends a lot of time making sure that those costs are allowable against the federal guidelines. So it would be impossible to say, okay, when we get a claim in, we're going to be able to review it in 4 hours and get it paid. So there's a lot of work that goes into that CSP review process. But what we have done is looked at those processes and said, what can we do to help the schools to kind of understand when they're going to get paid and how to submit claims better. So some training has been going on. Additional training was planned, but it was at a time that the schools were going to be closed for spring break. So that has been postponed. So to work through that process, the staff here has decided to revise those claim payments. We have realigned the budgets. We are now putting out a new cover sheet for the schools to submit their payments. That cover sheet will show their disallowed cost whenever a claim is approved, and it will reflect the budget remaining balances once the claim has been paid. We will in turn submit a new claim form to each school so that they can use that to submit their mixed claim, and providing them an understanding of what costs are disallowed should also help us from not having to review the claims in such detail for the disallowed cost.
Denise, when you say that you said it a couple times about realigning the budgets, does that mean moving money from one month to the next. I mean, explain what that means. I want us to be careful that we don't change budget numbers after the budget period starts.
Right, okay. Yeah, and this is very much the school's federal grants. So it's their CSP reimbursements. When they get their award, they're given a $900,000 grant. They get $300,000 per year. And then they tell us, first year, we're going to spend this much in salaries. We're going to spend this much in travel. They give us that budget detail. And so when their claims are submitted, we look at that and say, oh, it's not aligned to your budget. You have overspent your durable goods. So if they find that there's a reason that they're not going to have as much in travel because of COVID, that they would like to put more money of their federal grant into durable goods, there's a modification process that they have to go through. They submit that budget modification. The staff here reviews it against the federal guidelines, and then allows that modification to occur.
Okay, that's what it sounded like. I just wanted to make sure we weren't adding money to the total budget after the budget year started, unless there's the budget is what it is, and once the year starts, I don't have any problem with the realignment, as you called it. I just wanted to make sure that's what we were doing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, when the schools have their budgets aligned to their expenditures, then we don't have to send it back when a claim comes in.
Right.
And say that's disallowed. And if they understand what federal grants will pay and what they won't pay, like the federal grant. Yeah. Dr. Commentary says that all the schools have an allowable cost guide. It tells them like, you can't have ongoing operational cost. We can't pay for your copier, that type of thing. They know that, but if they submit a claim and it has that in that, then we have to say, no, we're not paying that this time. And so this whole process that we're going through should help get the claims paid faster, but it still lets them know what we're reviewing it for. So that's what we decided. We would leave the claims the way it is. We can't say that all claims are going to be paid by this certain date.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else on your report?
Not on the financial report unless somebody has a question.
Okay, if there are no questions, I believe, I don't think we have anybody that asked to make any public comments. Is that right, Dr. K?
That's correct, Mr. Billingsley.
So let's move on to the new business action items. Dr. Karmachara?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under new business on item A, you have the consideration to approve a conflict of interest policy. I don't know if Avery was able to get back onto this or not, so I don't know if she's with us, but she helped to draft this conflict of interest policy. It is a requirement under the federal guidelines that we have that conflict of interest policy for employees for our office. And so Jordan and I will be signing that once it's approved to ensure that we technically don't have any conflict of interest at the office administrator level here. So with the board's consideration, we would ask for an approval on that particular item.
Okay, are there any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the conflict of interest policy.
I'll make that motion that we approve it.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? The approval of conflict of interest policy is passed. Go ahead, Dr. K.
Okay, thank you. Item B is to consider the approval of the SchoolWorks quote to conduct the application evaluation support for the 2021 Call for Quality Schools cycle. That information was provided to you prior to the board meeting. In your packet, you have a copy of their proposal. They actually conducted this for us and led us through the application cycle last year. And we'd like the board to consider approving them again for our provider this year.
Any questions? I will entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve SchoolWorks.
Thank you. A second.
Second, this is Jean.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. The School Works quote is approved. Dr. Carmen.
Thank you. Item C, under new business, is to consider the approval of the professional polish contract extension. That will be for technical assistance through the next 2 cycles of application, cycle 2021 and 2022, as well as the technical assistance for pre-opening of SR1. All of those deliverables are actually written into the CSP grant and requirements within the federal grant, and the extension of this particular contract will keep us in good stead with the federal government in terms of what our obligations are, as well as provide some really quality opportunities for technical assistance for our applicants and for the pre-opening of SR1. So we would ask that the board consider the approval of that extension for professional polish.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, then I will entertain a motion to approve.
I so move.
Thank you. A second, please.
I'll second that motion. This is
Thank
Kimberly.
you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. With no opposition, that motion to approve the contract is approved.
I would point out on that contract, that is based on an application, the number of applicants. And I, in my executive director report, I did note that we had the highest number of potential applicants that we've had in the past few years. So it could be that we spend a little more on that contract than we did last year, but that will be a good thing if we get through with end up with more people at the capacity interview level than we did last year, and ultimately schools in approval. So I just wanted to point that out to the board. The last item, Mr. B.
Yes.
Are you ready for that one?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. Item D is to consider the approval of the draft renewal recommendation report for Joel E. Smilo Prep Charter School. That recommendation also was provided to you in a summary report form and includes the evaluators, external, internal as well, and has the recommendation for that summary recommendation as a 4-year renewal with conditions for necessary improvements in the organizational performance, specific to the renewal guidance, page 6 and 7, based on the current framework. So we would ask the board to consider that, noting that the school will have an opportunity based on the statute to respond to those this recommendation, and then the board will take action on a final decision in April.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the draft renewal recommendation report for Joel E. Smilo Prep Charter School.
I so move.
Thank you. A second, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 With no opposition, the motion passes and the draft recommendation is approved. Dr. K, do you have any other action items to come before the board?
No, sir. That takes care of our action items for this board meeting.
Okay, I will now entertain a motion to consider going into closed session.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And the reason we're going into this closed session is to determine whether we have a need to go into executive session. That's the way the rules work. We go into closed session first, and then we'll determine whether we need to go into executive session. So all in favor of the motion that's on the floor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes, and we are now in closed session. Jordan, can you
Yeah,
take
Mr.
care of
Bennett, just a moment and make sure everyone's in the waiting room that should be.
okay.
Jordan, when we actually have the executives, we don't have our attorneys handy, other than Mr. Hinton, and he might can help us walk through this part, but we don't have Holly and we don't have Avery. So if you could, once we get through the closed determination and we get ready to do the executive session, if you can put into the chat, will they still be able to see the chat, but to know that we're in executive session?
Yes, I believe that's a good option. I can just send a chat to the waiting room and that way I don't have to let folks back in and then back out again. So,
Okay, Mr. Hinton, does that sound appropriate to you?
We also, I wish Avery were still here, but once once we get into executive session,
Concerned about it not being live streamed. Avery was checking in. She's still not got access. So we will go ahead and get everybody let back in and then get back in open session from there.
That's fine.
So,
and I will communicate, Dr. Kay, I'll communicate back to you and Jordan after the meeting's over with, everything you need for to record the minutes for the executive session.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
okay, everyone is back in from the waiting room.
Okay, thank you everyone for indulging us during our executive session. Dr. Kay, is there anything else before the board?
No, sir, just the notice of the next meeting, which would be April the 12th. I did want to put, I guess, this before the board at this time. Prior to we had meetings at 10 o'clock as opposed to 1 o'clock. And we had one board member that had a conflict and preferred a 1 o'clock meeting time as opposed to the 10 a.m. So having said that, with your consideration, whatever the board prefers, we are okay with either one. But some may prefer an earlier time and others may prefer a later time in the afternoon. So if you guys just want to communicate with us and let us know your preference, we can always go with the general feeling of the board, or we can go on a recommendation, whatever the board's preference is.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. Whoever was going to make a comment, go ahead.
It's Kimberly, but you go ahead, Bill.
All I was going to say is that until we get back to where we can do the meetings in person, I think the earlier meeting works fine. But when we're trying to meet in person, there's only 3 or 4 of us that are in the metro area. For Don and Kimberly especially, to have to drive from where they live, the 10 o'clock in the morning meeting would be a little bit early.
Right.
So I would suggest that we just leave it at 1 o'clock for now until we get a little bit better handle on when we're going to be able to meet in person. And we can always go back and adjust it.
Right. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, 1 o'clock is great for me.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody have an opposition to 1 o'clock?
No, and Bill, you're very insightful because I was going to say the same thing. So it's 1 o'clock is much better for me. And if I need to be in person, I can make it down. I have, about a 3-hour drive to Jackson. So 1 o'clock always works better.
Okay, that sounds great. We will leave it at 1 o'clock then for right now, unless we have somebody that wants to change that going forward or down the road at some point. So we'll see you at 1 o'clock on the 12th. Denise has reminded me though that we need to take and report out on the action that was taken during executive session. So Mr. Billingsley, if you would do that and report out on the action that was taken.
Right now, for the record, I was going to get that to you after that was over with, but if I need to do it now, I'll do it now.
Yeah, so you can do that, or
Okay.
if somebody else prefers to do that.
That's fine. The executive session was called for personnel purposes, and during the session, it was approved to change Jordan's job description and her salary commensurate with her new duties, and to also change Dr. Carmen Chira's salary commensurate with her new duties. The two of them are going to be picking up the duties of the departed Dr. Brumfeld, and if necessary, we will bring on a lower level clerical employee to pick up some of the slack that if the need arises. Is that all the detail you need, or and I can call you back with, or I can call you with specific detail after the meeting.
I do think we need to announce the modification in the budget as well. And if you took action on that while I was out of the room, Mr. B, if there was a motion and a second on that, if you wouldn't mind sharing that.
Okay, I don't remember who made the motion and who made the second, but we did approve the modification of the contracts, and we did approve the two new salaries. We did one while you were still there, but
Correct.
I don't remember who made the motion. I'm sorry. I should have
I
written that
believe,
down.
I think I made the motion for the multi one with Dr.
Okay.
Kay's duties
Yeah,
and
that-
modification to the budget.
Okay, that's right. And who was the second?
And Kimberly was the second.
I think so. Yeah, I think Kimberly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we appreciate that announcement in executive session then, or from executive session to the, to report out. And I don't think there's anything else officially that we need to do at this point in time, other than adjourn. So Mr. B, I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else that we need to talk about.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Kimberly, second.
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 Thank you. And,
Thank you all.
We're hereby adjourned. See you all next month.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.